Hello, fourth graders. Today we will be reading the story, How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow. I'm already making connections in my head based on other books and films that relate to this that I might have read or seen before. Let's get started. Our focus for today's reading is to identify key events to help us create a summary at the end. We will continue to look for the most important details to help me understand the story. Before we begin our text, let's take a virtual picture walk together. By looking at some of the illustrations in our text that we are reading today, what do you think the genre of the story is? Drag the arrow to pick your answer. Do you think it's A, fiction text, or B, nonfiction? Now that you've picked your answer, I would like you to explain why you chose the answer using the box below. You are more than welcome to use the sentence frame provided. I chose, write down your answer, because, and then explain your thinking. This is a fictional text, specifically a fantasy. I knew that because of the pictures that were drawn. That is a clue to help me understand that this is a fictional text. Follow along as I read How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow, an excerpt from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. The Wizard of Oz 1939 is one of the most popular films of all time. It is based on a series of popular children's novels written in the early 1900s. The excerpt here is from Chapter 3 of the first book, entitled The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The story so far. A cyclone has whisked away young Dorothy and her dog Toto inside her Kansas farmhouse to the magical land of Oz. The house landed on the Wicked Witch of the East, killing her and thereby setting free the Munchkins. The grateful Munchkins send Dorothy to the Wizard of Oz in Emerald City. After she gets there, Dorothy hopes the wizard will help her get back home. In this chapter, Dorothy has set off on the yellow brick road and meets the Scarecrow. Paragraph 1. Dorothy bade her friends goodbye and again started along the road of yellow brick. When she had gone several miles, she thought she would stop to rest, and so she climbed to the top of the fence beside the road and sat down. There was a great cornfield beyond the fence, and not far away she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds from the ripe corn. Dorothy leaned her chin upon her hand and gazed thoughtfully at the scarecrow. Its head was a small sack stuffed with straw, with eyes, nose, and mouth painted on it to represent a face. An old pointed blue hat that had belonged to some Munchkin was perched on his head, and the rest of the figure was a blue suit of clothes, worn and faded, which had also been stuffed with straw. On the feet were some old boots with blue tops, such as every man wore in this country, and the figure was raised above the stalks of corn by means of the pole stuck up its back. Since our text is an excerpt, which is a small part of an entire book or text, this italicized part is really helpful because it allows me to understand what has happened in previous chapters. Here, we are introduced to Dorothy and understand her situation. She's trying to find the Wizard of Oz, which is in Emerald City. It's there that she uses the yellow brick road and finds the Scarecrow. I'm going to underline this because I know that it is useful information. In paragraph 1, I underlined this sentence because this is where Dorothy first meets the Scarecrow. And again, if I'm trying to find key events, in order for us to understand the story, we need to know that this is where she encounters or meets the Scarecrow. It also helps because I used the title, How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow, that I know that this is really important for me to underline. Let's now finish the second half of the text. Paragraph 4. While Dorothy was looking earnestly into the odd painted face of the Scarecrow, she was surprised to see one of the eyes slowly wink at her. She thought she must have been mistaken at first, for none of the Scarecrows in Kansas ever wink. But presently, the figure nodded its head to her in a friendly way. Then she climbed down from the fence and walked up to it, while Toto ran around the pole and barked. "Good day," said the Scarecrow in a rather husky voice. "Did you speak?" asked the girl in wonder. "Certainly," answered the Scarecrow. "How do you do?" "I'm pretty well, thank you," replied Dorothy politely. "How do you do?" "I'm not feeling well," said the Scarecrow with a smile, "for it is very tedious being perched up here night and day to scare away crows." "Can't you get down?" asked Dorothy. "No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly obliged to you." Dorothy reached up both arms and lifted the figure off the pole, for, being stuffed with straw, it was quite light. "Thank you very much," said the Scarecrow, when he had been set down on the ground. "I feel like a new man." Dorothy was puzzled at this, for it sounded odd to hear a stuffed man speak and to see him bow and walk along beside her. In paragraphs 4 through 8, we got a major key event. Here we discover that this is not an ordinary Scarecrow. Some events that took place that kind of helped me understand this is that it started winking at her and started moving as well as talking. Notice, however, that I didn't underline everything in paragraphs 4 through 8. I really just wanted to focus on certain key events that could help me understand that this is not an ordinary Scarecrow. In paragraph 9, we are introduced to another key event. This is where we understand the Scarecrow's problem. He is perched or he is on something day and night. So I need to know this because this helps explain the Scarecrow's problem. Jumping down to paragraph 12, I underlined where Dorothy helps him. This again is a key event because I know that afterwards the Scarecrow is very grateful for her help at this point. Now that we've finished both parts of our story, let's summarize. I summarized the first half of the story, but I need a little help finishing it off. I will read to you what I have, and in the box below, I would like you to finish up our summary based off what we've read together. Make sure that you use our annotations and key events that we underline to help you add the summary. My summary starts off. Dorothy sets off to find the Wizard of Oz to help her get back home. As she walks along the yellow brick road, she meets a strange scarecrow that talks. Now you can go ahead and add the rest to our summary. Today we read the first half of this text to find key events. Tomorrow we will read the last half to continuing practicing our skill. I am so excited to figure out what happens next.